Hello and welcome back. It has been a hot minute since I've done a YouTube video, a sit down video talking about surrogacy. I'm not gonna lie, feels a little bit like deja vu, but the main difference is that I'm not pregnant in a pandemic this time. I'm actually out and about and living life and maybe bumping into people after I've spoken about them on a video, which is really bizarre. But what I'm doing, I'm sort of channeling that I'm talking to a few particular people who I know are going to watch. My mum, Lou, family friend, my partner, Delara, the baby's parents. There's a few particular people I know are going to watch, so I'm going to imagine I'm just talking to them and you guys are just here along for the ride. In this particular video, I'm going to be talking about the matching process and how that works. I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat, of course. There's multiple different ways depending on which agency you use, if you use an agency at all, but I'm obviously going to talk about my personal experience and my experience this time round, which is very different to the previous experience. I can put a box thing up about my matching experience last time. I believe that's still on the internet. If not, I'll do another one like comparing the differences. But yeah, I'll talk about the process this time because one of the most common questions I actually get asked is, do you know them? Do you know the parents? I mean, obviously is the answer I want to say, but I usually say, well, we've met to do a surrogacy arrangement, but we've become friends in the process. So without further ado, I shall start from the very beginning. And it is a long story. I wrote a script for this video, but sometimes when I script a video, it comes out worse. Like, I know the order of events in the way they happened. So I'm just going to kind of try and keep it as concise as possible as well, because when I was scripting, it was very lethargic and I think my brain was like, oh, you journaling? You writing? You getting stuff out? So I'm not going to put it all in the video. But I also am considering, I've got a website that I don't use, and I'm considering doing like blog posts on there of what would have been the script. So I know some people don't like video content, people prefer to read content. I really thoroughly enjoyed another surrogate called Kim. She did a series of blogs and I really enjoyed reading those. So I am considering like dipping my toe into the written word as well, especially if I want to write a book one day. That might be a really nice way of getting used to writing. I will go back to November 2022, roughly. I was almost 2 years postpartum, like less a few months, but I was like, yeah, now's probably a good time to look to start matching, to really get to know someone for a few months before we even consider inseminations, before we even consider getting pregnant. So I put a post out there on the COTS Facebook group. COTS are doing things quite differently now. This is what I was saying before about how my previous journey was very different. Previously, Kim Cotton would send the surrogate a few applications and be like, I think these guys will suit you. You read through and then take it from there. She's not really doing that now because there just aren't enough surrogates coming through, and she doesn't think it's fair to have tons of IPs on the books when they've got absolutely no chance of not ever finding a surrogate, but they've got a very small chance of finding a surrogate, and then they've paid that fee for what? So the way she's doing it is fair, but I will say I found it quite difficult and quite a stressful, not stressful, but quite an intense process talking to lots of different IPs, but I'll get into that a bit more later on as well. So the first time around was actually quite straightforward, and I started chatting to two gay guys who live very locally and things were going really well. It was a very easy match. We sort of clicked and that was it. It was kind of like we'd known them for a long time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out and I did have to break the match, which was one of the most horrible things I've had to do. It felt like breaking up with a partner. Again, very long story short, I can make another video if you would find that interesting, about talking about a broken match and what you do in those circumstances and how the agreement works and the fact that that's not a legally binding contract. But yeah, it was tricky. The guys basically didn't have the best sperm quality and the risks associated with that just outweighed it for me. We did do one insemination and that month a couple of weeks later when I found out I wasn't pregnant, I just had the wrong feeling. I felt fine with it, whereas I know from my first journey that I should feel disappointed, that I should be like a little bit sad for the IPs, whereas I was just like, oh well, not pregnant. So I saw that as a huge red flag for myself of like, why am I not gutted? So then I did a little bit more thinking about it and I did some more research, and sperm quality massively affects obviously the baby's health. The risk of miscarriage is significantly higher. The risk of birth defects is higher. The risk of disability. There's just so many things that I actually hadn't even considered, other than it might take months and months and months and months and months to get pregnant in the first place. And then on top of that, there's all these other additional risks. And I just thought, I'm already putting my body through so much. I don't want that additional pressure. So I wish them all the best. I really hope that, you know, they've tried all of the supplements, all of the lifestyle changes, simple things like wearing baggy trousers and baggy boxer shorts, not keeping your balls right up there, cooking them and getting them hot, no hot showers, no hot baths, eating really healthily, exercising, not having too much stress in your life. Like, there's loads of lifestyle factors that can affect male fertility, and yeah, I wish them all the best. However, my journey and my timeline didn't align with waiting for those lifestyle factors. We'd already been matched for such a long time that they could have already been implemented. So I think I felt a little bit bitter about that as well. Like, the effort hadn't been put in on both sides, because I'd been doing all of those things. I hadn't drunk any alcohol since March. I think that was sort of June time. I was eating healthily, you know, all the rest of it. So yes. Then the next steps were very quickly to try and find some new IPs, basically. I said to myself, I really want to give this year a chance. Delara and I are getting married in September 2024, and I really, obviously, well, I say obviously, there's a surrogate I know who has been pregnant for her wedding, but I particularly don't want to be pregnant for my wedding. It's uncomfortable, you've got a big bump. All of her headlines are really clickbaity, so while it's amazing that she's getting the word of surrogacy out there and she's in the media, and I love that she's like in the press for what she's done and they're positive news stories, the headlines are still like, oh, pregnant with another man's baby on your wedding day. And it's just even more complicated, I think, getting married to a woman pregnant with another man's baby. Anyway, I put another post on the Facebook COTS group stating basically that I wanted to match quickly if possible, and if a match felt natural. So I emphasised that. I had screenshot all of the things to read out, but it might be easier actually if I just post them on here, because I don't know where the screenshots have gone, because I've been meaning to film this video for some time. So yeah, I'll post the screenshots here of what I said, and then I had tons of comments, but I was very clear, like, if a match feels natural, if it's working for all parties, then I would like to progress quite quickly. I don't want to do sort of a 6-month getting to know period. I want to be pregnant by November so that I can give birth before September. That was my sort of strict window, and it was July. At one point I was chatting to 15 different gay men, 14 couples and 1 single guy. I had Delara keeping track of everyone. She was also very realistic with me. There was one couple who I really, really liked, but they lived in Shetland, which Google Maps says is 22 hours away. And she said, you know, you thought Manchester was far away, like, try Shetland. There were a few Scottish couples actually. There was near Glasgow, then there were a couple from up north, there were some from down south, there was Kent, South East London, Essex. And yeah, just messaging a lot of different guys, all wanting to have families and, you know, have children with their partner. As I say, it was an intense couple of weeks trying to juggle all of that. I'm trying to remember the order of everything. I met a couple. I think I maybe only met one couple actually. I had a few video calls, and then I met Chris and Tom in person. I love it when stars align, when things just work out. I was going back through the Facebook post and reading the comments just to make sure I hadn't missed any. And Delara had said to me, you need to stop collecting IPs, like you need to start whittling down this list, not finding more. And I was like, I just want to make sure I've replied to everyone, you know, and either drawn a line under it and given everyone a response, because I think ghosting someone would be the worst thing to do in that situation. And then I scrolled to the post prior to my post, the day before my post, and there was a post from a couple called Chris and Tom, and I was like, oh, that's a really lovely post. Like, wow, they seem really bubbly, they seem really outgoing. Again, I'll probably screenshot what they posted. And I messaged them and I said, like, oh, I don't know if you've seen my post, but I'm looking to move quite quickly if things gel. Straight away, Chris made a WhatsApp group with the three of us, myself, Chris and Tom, and I added Dilara, which I loved that efficiency as well. That, like, straight away getting on the horse, like, we don't want any of the parties missing out on the communications here, let's get a WhatsApp group. And the fact that someone else took the reins on that as well, rather than me being the one to suggest, oh, let's move this off of Facebook Messenger, was really nice. Backwards and forwards messages for a few days, felt very easy. Then we went to a local pub, local to me, for a quick drink. 3.5, 4 hours later, I was starving hungry as we were leaving, and that should have been like the like ding ding ding. We'd been there for a really long time, chatting the whole time, talking about everything from my job and how it had all just gone completely up the wall, and from them and their like entire view into the world of surrogacy and how they became friends with so many other IPs and so many surrogates, and how they just really got to know the whole community. Well, I mean, they don't know the whole community, but it does feel like that sometimes. I'm the complete opposite. I'm sort of a bit like, there's the community and I'm over here doing my own thing. I'm working on it. I've created like a COTS surrogates group, and there's about 15 odd of us on there, and we all chit chat, and there's always someone awake at different times of the night, which is lovely. Going completely off tangent. It went very, very well, and I told them that. The next, I realised like I'm getting out of breath because I'm all excited. They said, like, you know, obviously we want to meet Dilara as well and make sure she's on board and make sure she gets on with us and that it all suits and it all fits. So we arranged for that meeting. I couldn't remember that meeting happening for a hot minute, but I just have. We went back to the same pub, had dinner, average. We're all massive foodies as well, so that's, yeah, very, very helpful. And then I brought the tablet with us, and I was just going to sort of vaguely go through the agreement questions, because there are some things that you just really need to be on the same page about. In the case of fetal abnormalities being detected, whose decision is it to terminate the pregnancy? We were going through it and I was like, should we just fill it out while we do it? So that got the agreement done like that. Again, very efficient. And yeah, I offered to be their surrogate pretty much, well, very, very quickly. I then ovulated much quicker than I was expecting as well. Like I came on my period and I was like, this means I'm going to be ovulating in 2 weeks. So I told them, I was like, look, I'm really keen to move forward. We clearly get along. There's clearly a click. I'm going to be ovulating in 2 weeks. Have a chat about it. If you guys want to progress, like, we can. They'd done everything as well. They'd done all of their sperm tests. They'd sent off for STD tests like immediately. I'd done all of my side of things as well because of the match that I just did, and then I think I repeated a couple of those tests as well. Just got everything sorted very, very quickly. The only things left to do were the counselling session through COTS, Kim to go over the agreement, and I think that was it. So yeah, we were literally ready to go. So I ordered some pots and some syringes on Amazon, really, or eBay. Really like rudimentary, simple basic stuff. You don't need no fancy insemination kit. The first night of Insem, there was a high five. So the dad that went off to the bathroom to produce the sample, when he came back out, literally high-fived, and that's just become a running theme because I got pregnant first month, so we now say that it was all down to that high five. God damn those high fives, be careful where you're throwing them around, which has become like a really nice little, yeah, just little joke. And I think that's pretty much the crux of matching. As I said, there's like loads of different ways to do it. Different agencies do it differently. SUK, who Chris and Tom were with, have like a very strict 6-month getting to know policy, which, you know, I on the whole, generally, I totally agree with that. I think you should really wait and get to know someone. These circumstances were totally different. Chris and Tom had been in the surrogacy world for like 3 years. They probably know more than I do, which is quite impressive, I'm not gonna lie. And it just felt right. It did just feel like, you know what, we've got nothing to lose, let's make you a family. The only other thing that I want to like briefly address, because I know some people will be curious as to why I'm not doing a sibling journey for the first couple, the first family I should say. They're mum, dad and baby now. Not even a baby, that boy's a toddler. Things just didn't work out. We don't agree on the publicity side of things. I obviously love making my videos, and of that there will be articles published, there will be potentially TV appearances. I've had BBC Radio contact me, they want me to come on and do one of the morning shows. So it can snowball, like there can be a lot of publicity, and I'm taking that in my stride. I think anything promoting surrogacy is fantastic. Keeping surrogacy in the UK is fantastic. There's a big reform coming, not under this government, unfortunately. They want privacy, which I totally respect. You know, I've not revealed their identities, I keep their identity a secret, but unfortunately that has got in the way of a potential next journey, because the way I see it is that this is my body, it will be my pregnancy, though it's not my baby. I still want to document that journey. So I wish them all the absolute best with their family life. We aren't in contact at the moment, but you know what, that is okay. Relationships change, families change. I'm still here, you know, I'm still the surrogate that carried that baby if he is interested to get to know me when he's older, or if he's not, you know, both cases are absolutely fine. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that point very briefly. And that's pretty much it. I've done this in like 17 minutes, and when I edit it might be even shorter than that, so I'm quite pleased with myself. As always, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.